And we're live. Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, folks. How y'all doing? Hail to you, Thomas Gilkey. How you doing? Who'd we lose? We lost Mads.
We lost Mads.
Okay.
She'll be right back.
Yeah, she couldn't hear anything. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's having technical difficulties. Okay, folks, we're back, or welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews. We are going to be discussing Year 3 Harry Potter. If the traffic outside could stop bothering me. Now let's get back to that. And
well, you know, it's kind of
sorry, divided attention.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, I know. Now we're going to be discussing the movie, not the book. I mean, we will tap into the book a little bit during this stream, but we are going to discuss mainly the movie because it's movie discussion. And before I do get started, Mads is back. Before we do get started, let me just find the scrolling thing here. And there we go.
Oh.
Hail to you, Mads. How are you?
Hello, sexy.
Got the camera was on. Hold on.
Alrighty.
Trying to get the mic set up.
Mm-hmm. Before we do
Hopefully
get
you guys
started,
can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Brilliant.
Can you guys all hear? All right. So before we do get started, I'm just going to scroll up a little on this thing. And I'm going to highlight my screen for a second. And I'm going to turn on the thing so I can see the chat live on my Kindle. For a second. And turn it down all the way. Alrighty. So, if anyone in the chat can identify this wand, which actually has a lot of importance in this particular movie because it is a movie of it is a wand of one of the new characters introduced in the movie. Well, I can't say you'll get a prize, but you definitely know your Harry Potter stuff. So,
See, Sally, now I think I know who it is.
Now, alrighty, let's get into it, and let's shrink myself here. Basic solo layouts. Alrighty. Now, first things first, let's start with a brief introduction to each person's channel. We'll start with Ambassador and go around the table.
Actually, I yield to the ladies. Ladies first, so whichever lady wants to go first, by all means, be my guest.
AFK Bard.
I've been calling a lady.
AFK?
For sure. Hi, I'm AFK Bard.
We'll start from the other side of the table.
On Twitter as AFK Bard and everywhere else connected to it. And there you go.
And hello, everybody. I'm Lorena Creole on Twitter.
And Thomas Gilkey just guessed right.
On YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Ready? And Mads.
Oh, Lorena didn't get a chance to finish what she was saying when you said that.
Yeah. It's okay, Lorena. You finish up.
Sorry.
I'm done. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, please.
Hey, everyone. I'm Mads Mama Bear. Same on YouTube and on Twitter. We can fill out the rest later.
All right. Moira.
I'm Moira Kitty. I do live streams and started this What the Fuck News or WTF News. Sarcastic comments about the crap that's going on in the world. So if you want to see it, go ahead. All right.
And Ambassador.
Lorena, would you like another shot at introducing yourself and doing a plug for your channel, and then I'll go.
Okay, very good. Thanks. Well, I'm Lorena Creole on Twitter, and also Lorena Creole on YouTube. You can find me on various shows, which I'll go over a little bit later, but glad to be here with everyone.
Glad to have you.
As for myself, I am the ambassador. You can find me on my channel, the Ambassadorial Wing. I am also on Twitter and Instagram. At Ambassador Kosh number 7 on Twitter and at the Ambassador Kosh on Instagram. I cover pop culture, modern and retro. I do live streams like on this wonderful channel with Orange Hat. I do videos and I talk anything pop culture. If it's nerdy and it's fun, I cover it. So, and Harry Potter is both.
Alrighty. Alrighty, and
Yeah, I was getting. You said you care stuff shit.
Thomas Gilkey in the chat, he already guessed correctly. It's
Well, the minute you said it was somebody introduced that was new, the only real person that was new for Harry Potter was obviously Remus Lupin.
already, and yeah, it shows up
or
on a
Sirius
huge
Black.
lag for me. So it like just showed up.
Orange Hat, I think you may have. Yeah, I think the sound may be lagging.
Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, also Peter Pettigrew.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry about that.
These things happen.
Okay, so we're going to get into the movie. The first are basically, well, yeah, I think I am lagging. Yeah, sorry, folks. We are going to get into this. It starts with Harry Potter at the Dursleys, and he's practicing magic. This is something that I actually thought was weird, because last time I checked, you get in trouble if you're practicing magic outside of school. So him doing the whole Lumos Maxima testing kind of practice thing, it's like, why isn't, or shouldn't he be getting in trouble for that? But yeah. Then it goes introduction to the largest ant on Earth.
Well, if I might just interject real quick, I think the precedent is practicing, as in practicing for your studies, is one thing. Actually, using magic, that might be a different thing entirely, particularly when you're underage. But I don't know the world of Potter better than everyone else in here, so I yield to you experts.
I agree. I think that when they say practicing magic outside school, I don't think they consider homework to be against the rules.
I think that there's like I don't know, a finer detail on what you can and can't do, as far as like what the Dursleys do at, the Weasleys do at their house, because they're technically doing magical related things as kids all through the summer. I think it's more of like homework is probably okay, but if you decide to go out on the street doing it, that's
Getting an
or
unsuspecting
anything outside
civilian
of your level of education. But I don't think they actually detail that out, so I'm probably pulling that out of my butt.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I remember from learning in the books is that magical families like the Weasleys, the parents are both magical, so they can temper the kid, or so they can what's the word? Supervise any magic going on at the house.
Yeah.
But with Harry at home, without a magical parent or somebody, it does seem like it might be harder for him to practice. Although a lighting charm is not going to cause too much hassle. Now, we're introduced to the Dursleys' sister, the biggest, meanest, dog-loving, drinking woman ever. What are your thoughts, folks, on this character?
My God, they managed to find something worse than the first two characters that he had to live with. That woman was dreadful. The only thing was missing when he did that to her was turning her into a blueberry. That's a big girl.
I thought the same thing. Same thing. I had Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory flashbacks looking at that.
I mean, that woman was terrible, and basically comparing Potter's mother to a female dog was just grossly inappropriate. I mean,
especially consider.
She wasn't even just talking about thinking. She looked at him. She goes, it probably comes from the mother. I'm like, what kind of cow do you have to be to do something like that? So her floating around served her right. Fuck that bitch.
If I had been Harry, I would not have blown her up. I would have blown her up. As in exploded.
Oh.
There would have been ant chunks all over the Dursleys' house, and I would have told Dursley and his wife and their son, I am out of here. In the immortal words of Eric Cartman, screw you guys, I'm going home. Or to the Leaky Cauldron. And can I just say, that bus is the most awesomest thing ever. Ever.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the ant is the...
We need some math like that.
That ant has got to be the most vile person I've ever met in my life.
I like the creativity that goes into like the little bursts of magic that Harry does without intending to. Like in the first movie, he's talking to the snake and he's like, "Oh, the best fix is like, no glass." And like the glass just disappears and the snake goes away. And like in this, it's just like Harry's just like, dude, I'm done with this. I need it to go away. And again, it's a very creative way to make the problem float away, so to speak. And,
literally.
Well, and if you notice,
not really that aggressive, not as crazy as Ambassador's idea, perhaps. It's very childlike in a way of like what happens.
Yeah, because you're not really thinking about it. If you're that young, you're really not thinking of horror movies blowing people up into millions of pieces and their blood, bones, and guts raining over the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's very, in a way, it fits with his age range of just like, I just want this chick to shut up and go away. And it wasn't immediate, just having her slowly inflate and you see the buttons off of her jacket just like pop off and people are trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So how they stretch that out, I really think that just like captured how angry and pissed off he was until she finally just floats away,
I love how twice those buttons nailed that little shithead right in the eyes.
I love that.
And he got up, bam, like, yes!
well, and,
Right, but that's because he's been a little jackass before.
And they're trying to hold her down and it's not working. And
Yeah.
well, I don't know if you all noticed this. Maybe you did. When the ant starts to tear into Harry's parents, if you notice, there was a flicker in the lights and her glass shattered. So that was just Harry amping up. I thought that was a nice little touch. And then you see him do his thing, even though it was inadvertent. And I know we'll probably get into this in a little bit, but I love the interaction between him and the Minister of Magic, Fudge. I thought that was a nice exchange between the two of them. But we can get to that later when we get to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
And
we
just
don't
after he leaves... Sorry.
Yeah, we don't put people in
lagging.
Azkaban for blowing up their ants. Technically.
And then that one wizard is like...
That's actually one thing that I wanted to touch on was that they actually recast Tom to be a hunchback instead of the guy that was in the very first movie.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I'm not the
didn't
most
either.
observant when it comes to that.
Huh.
That's interesting.
And alrighty, I wanted to show you guys one thing before we get going. We actually got the introduction after he leaves the Dursleys' house and whatnot. He basically runs away, and we get a small introduction to the Grim, or as they call it in the movie, the Grim. But it's actually Sirius Black. But here's the question: why was Sirius barking at Harry in this particular scene?
It's a good question. I don't recall if there was a difference in the book at all. Maybe for dramatic effect.
Oh, maybe because he was out and about and he knew he wasn't supposed to, so he was trying to scare him to go back in.
That's true.
Like, get your butt back in school.
Well, he did somehow manage to get Harry to fall over, hold up a wand, and summon a wizarding bus. So, I mean, in a way, that's some good, parenting for family members.
Yeah.
It's like, get
Well,
your ass inside.
Besides, he did just get out of Azkaban. I mean, it's not like his head was fully on straight.
Yeah,
he
very
does
true,
have hard
because-
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, so then we get introduced to the frickin' bus and the shrunken head. Oh my gosh, that shrunken head was hilarious.
It was
No.
awesome. Oh my gosh. just the jokes and everything. Just
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
just
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say between the shrunken head and the actual bus itself, especially when it had to go between those two cars. Was it two cars? Was it two other buses? And it's just
Two
like,
buses.
mind your head. And it just got like it was closing. I just thought that was the coolest freaking effect. And they're counting down.
With
Yep.
the long
Yeah.
face.
Yes.
I loved the shrunken head so much. I was not mad that he wasn't in the book. You know,
Really? Oh my gosh.
it was my first reaction when
Wow.
they mentioned that when he starts talking. I'm like, yeah, I don't remember him from the book, and I'm like, you know what? I love him. I want one.
It works perfectly. And it's funny because at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, they have that there, the night bus. I hadn't seen it. It's got like the shrunken head that does like the whole spiel and everything. So I'm hoping to get to film that when I go down there because I so want to see it. It's hilarious. Oh my god, that's I love that part of the movie.
You know, when I went to see this or anything in theaters, and I remember this. I think I've told this. Me and my mother, we went to see all of these up to the last two, and we were in that part. We were both laughing our heads off. And everything at the bus and the little shrunken head. Then, of course, you got the shrunken heads there at the at the tavern there in the village. And they're chattering back and forth at the kids and everything because Harry's gone in with the invisibility cloak on. They're like, "Hey, you little whippersnapper, shut that door!"
You know, like thick head, and they're like thick head. Oh, he's got nerve and talking all kinds of fluff. Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah. And yeah, so then we get to the Leaky Cauldron. Although, before we do get to that, I just want to say one of my favorite lines from that shrunken head was, "Yeah, but if they jab him with the fork, they feel." And it's just so freaking funny. But so now he's in the Leaky Cauldron and brought straight up to the Minister of Magic, Fudge. And
Cornelius Fudge. Yeah.
he's giving him the rundown of what happens. And he's like, "I broke the law." And he's like, "Yeah, but we're not going to send you to Azkaban for blowing up your aunt." And freaking what's his name's Tom's laughing at him, pointing at him like, "Yeah, he did the same damn thing." And he looks at him. He's like, "Oh, gotta play possum." He's like, "Gotta kneel before the beast." Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just, oh my gosh, it was funny. And so then freaking he's like, it'd be good for you not to wander. And then Tom just grabs freaking Harry and just drags him to his room. It's like, what the hell, man? So yeah, what were your guys' thoughts on that one?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's a very animated. You can tell in, I guess they're trying to go for more of like a lighthearted balance of like the darker themes in this movie. Because, like, I mean, in the book, there's not those character moments where it's like, ooh, comic relief, or anything like that. So I kind of, as a person who reads the books first and then sees it or whatever, that kind of stuff always like stands out to me. But it's kind of, I can see how they would need something like that in a movie, like a family movie, I suppose, because you don't want to just be like beating someone over the head like that Harry gets, basically, or it's like the killer of your parents escaped, and oh, woe is this, and but this way you get like this, guy bumbling around, pushing you through doors, making faces and laughing. So I don't know, I appreciate the levity.
I do too, because honestly, as heavy and dark as this movie gets, or anything later on, particularly with the second and third acts, it's nice to have some levity there at the outset and everything. And I think they structured the movies that way deliberately, regardless of which director was working on it. I think they tried to interweave humor at the beginning and also throughout, just to kind of break the tension. Because you can only go heavy for so long before people are going to start to get uncomfortable.
I didn't even make the connection that it was the same character. That's what a good job that they actually did in switching it up, and I think the switch was necessary with this movie because he does add that necessary, like you said, levity to a already very tense, very topic book.
Yeah. Alrighty.
I'm glad that there's another person out there who can feel it.
This was actually the first one in the series where I read the book first, because I saw the first two movies back to back from a friend, and then I got dived right into it.
Well, hey, boss talk.
Okay, I have Ambassador. He's gonna pull up a picture of the next thing I'm going to talk, or I want to ask you all about. What did you think of the Beast book?
Just 1 second.
Oh, I loved how animated it was, and not only that, but just how the cover of it. It's like you could already tell from the cover, not something you quite want to mess with, when it ran up under the bed and he had to chase it out, and yeah, that looks pretty freaking scary. But I thought it was fun how they used it in the movie. It was funny.
I have been looking up so many, tutorials on how to make it. Don't be surprised if it actually winds up onto my channel one of these days.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
I'm gonna figure it out because the book is adorable.
It is. It really is.
It is.
I'll admit I'm like part Hagrid, so yeah, I will definitely go out one of these days. Just because I will try to pet something fuzzy that I really shouldn't.
Honestly, it makes the fact that it's a book that Hagrid picked out really makes it even more endearing. Because when you get the book at first, they're like, "What am I supposed to do with this?" But then when you figure out that Hagrid's the one who gave it as required reading, you're like, "Oh yeah, of course he would." And then you gotta ask, did he pick it because it's a book about beasts, or did he pick it because it is a beast book? These are the important questions here.
So, yep. That is a great point. And then we get to the next day, and Ron, Hermione, and them show up, and you see Hermione has her new pet, Crookshanks, the cat, and how it's trying to basically murder Scabbers, which is interesting. And it's like, we don't yet know that Scabbers is who we find out who he is later in the movie, but Crookshanks, I always wondered, is Crookshanks an animagus? Because it just seems to know that there's something really wrong about Scabbers. So what do you all
tell that anyway.
think on that?
Ladies first, please.
Maureen, you were saying?
I said it's possible that the cat is just a cat, and sometimes animals can just sense something's wrong.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that it looked like a rat, so the cat's going to chase it.
Yeah, it's a rat. More importantly, it moves very fast, and anything that moves very fast, it automatically gets on a cat's radar. I mean, and when I'm at home and I have like yarn hanging out and I'm dragging it, across the floor, my cat's pouncing all freaking over it like he's lost his mind or something.
And to be all honest, I blame Ron for being an irresponsible pet owner. Because if you know there's a cat running around, you should have a rat on the
Exactly.
He might not have been, because since we find out with the rat, a different kind of rat, that it was smart enough to pop the latch on its cage and let itself out.
And those guys are crafty in real life, too.
Right, so it might not be Ron's fault. He might not have realized that Scabbers would be able to flip the switch and be able to let himself out.
Well, then in that case, it's Darwinism.
Well, I mean, he would still, pettigrew. So he could be like, I'm tired of being in this cage. I'm going to go for a walk.
Well, here's the thing. If I've never read this book, the only books I have actually are Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows, and then The Cursed Child and the first of the Fantastic Beasts. So we don't, for those of you that read the books or anything, if you know if that cat was actually an animagus or not, please share. If it was just a regular cat, then now this may be just a theory that may not even be an accurate one, but could that have been because do we know what happened to Sirius's brother Regulus Black? Did Regulus die? Did he disappear? Could he have turned himself into a cat? And that's Crookshanks?
Yeah, he died.
Did he die? Okay.
I was like, otherwise, why wouldn't he have been put back to normal if he had been the cat?
And they kind of established that it's very hard, to be an animagus, and it takes a lot of learning. And there's a reason behind the ones that have that ability in this movie, and it'd be really hard to think that there'd be another person just chilling who did that. At least that's my opinion. But they don't. I don't think they outwardly say in the books that they're weird about the cat, but they never say that there isn't.
Very true.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I bring it up is because it will play, or the question will be raised slightly in a different area later on in the stream. All right, I do want to get them on the train because, well, we also know that Mr. Weasley talks to Harry about Sirius Black, and Sirius was already introduced on the night bus, and where what's-his-name told Harry Potter about him and whatnot. So they're on the train, and they get stopped, and let me just share my screen again, because we're going to pull up another little pick, and this is why I think I might have a lag, so I am sorry about that, guys.
That's okay.
So we have the Dementor, and what was your guys' first impression of the Dementor when you saw it in the movie?
Look like a banshee.
Yeah.
It did bear as a resemblance to the traditional banshee look, but it had that perfect creepy, smoky factor,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Very, very, very haunting, very ominous. You
Yeah.
can't, because you can't really make out what its face is. That makes it even more threatening when it shows up, and just how it just creepily floats
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, not giving it a face made it creepier.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yes.
definitely.
Well, for me, that the Dementor. And now here's the crazy thing. I think what Dumbledore says is rather accurate. I don't see these things as necessarily malevolent. I see them as single-minded in terms of going after their prey.
Well, they have
This
a
is
job to
like
do.
this is like a hunter or obviously a prison guard, but this is the type of prison guard you do not want to tangle with, because as Ron said when they were there on the train in the aftermath of the Dementor attack, I felt like I'd never be cheery again. I'd never be happy again. These things, even if they are not going after you, suck out all joy, all happiness, and just leave you at the bottom of the absolute barrel. So that, I think, therein lies their true power, their ability to just completely render you with that sense of dread and hopelessness. Ergo, why it's called a Dementor, because they are truly demented. And honestly, I would love to know how in the world they were created. I would love to know if there's some sort of backstory on how the Dementors came to be. But that's just me. I sometimes go for the dark.
Now, one thing I will say about the movie version of the Dementors is the way that they had the ethereal kind of movements was they did underwater simulation, which gave them a kind of floating look. And I actually thought that was pretty cool. And once this thing started feeding off Harry, we then get a clearer look at Remus Lupin, where he uses a Patronus to scare it away and whatnot. And then he gives the chocolate to Harry, which later on helps, or we learn, is something that increases happiness, endorphins, and whatnot to make you more happy, so to speak. And then we get introduced to the new Dumbledore, who looks a lot more vibrant than the old Dumbledore, but I still like the old Dumbledore better.
Honestly, I liked both equally, but there's just something about Gambon's portrayal that really drew me in. But as some say, that's subjective. So
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, the Gandalf in the books to me fell somewhere in the middle of both of them. So they've always kind of like both had like their strengths as far as like Dumbledore. Jesus Christ, I'm probably saying Gandalf all night. But I appreciate the different versions that there were, because like they obviously tried to go for like more peaceful, kind, like mentor that like the first or second year would want, And I guess with the opportunity to recast, they went for a completely different style, I guess. And it's cool. It goes with the whole, keeping the audience awake, I guess. Because, I mean, sure, the other guy was super awesome and stuff, but his conversations were yawning moments. So, yeah, I say good on them for this guy.
Well, and not only that, Michael Gambon, honestly, he has a very good acting, for lack of a term, pedigree. This guy is a good actor and everything. He has a good reputation over in Britain. I think they wanted to bring in somebody that could bring some weight and some gravitas to Dumbledore. That's not to say that Richard Harrison, may rest in peace, didn't. I think Richard Harrison did a great job in his two portrayals as Albus Dumbledore, but you want somebody that's going to kind of fill the room as that person, as Albus Dumbledore. And I think Gambon was able to do that with his performance. I mean, he may not be the tallest person, but he fills that space. He's got personality. He's got style. To quote the one, aura and everything from, I can't remember if it's from 4 or 5. I know you don't care for him, Minister, but you gotta admit this. Dumbledore's got style.
Yeah,
that was a great line.
that indeed was. So he then explains that the Dementors will be hosting or playing host basically to the Dementors because they are searching for Sirius. And we then get or go into the introductions of a new teacher in the movies, which is Professor Trelawny, the divination teacher. And it's like, gosh, man, she's a crazy, she's a kook, but she's also legit. So what are you guys' thoughts on her?
I think it's funny that, like, one of the other movies, they had Kenneth Branagh, and now they have his ex-wife, Emma Thompson, in it. So, like, they just got line up every British actor that has ever been and try to sneak them in this movie. But, like, she didn't seem like, I mean, she was kind of legit, but she was weird as shit. Like, I think, I don't know, like, I never read the book, but I think they could have made her a little less kooky.
I think they really encapsulated all of the kookiness in the books into her personality, like a little more concentrated, maybe. But I like her as a character. In the books, I feel like they gave her way more time, and like they kind of like gave her even classroom its own personality, and so I kind of like really liked her. It seeped into the movies, and I think I think good casting call, I guess, because she was super quirky in the movie, in the book. So in this she really went for it. So yeah.
I'm always amazed at her ability to just completely transform. It's so unreal so much to look at how different she is with each one of her characters. Maybe it's just me, but yeah, it was that moment when we first saw her, and I'm like, that's holy crap! That doesn't even look like the same woman.
I know.
Yeah. And one of the things I liked in that scene was where she asks Ron to read Harry's teacup, and he's like, well, Harry's got sort of a wonky cross, and that's like trials and suffering, and this looks like it could be the sun, so that's like happiness. So you're going to suffer, but you're going to be happy about it. It was that one.
Wasn't that inaccurate, though, to the overall storyline in the books?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, in particular, in this particular book and anything, it's actually very accurate. So good on Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god,
Right. It was so funny though.
I didn't even like. that didn't even hit my mind that his really crap reading was actually pretty darn good. So give that kid an A.
Mhm.
Or do they do A's over there? I don't know. I know their grading system's different.
And everybody always says, and everybody actually says that divination or Hermione says that divination is such a woolly discipline, and it's like, yeah, you don't like it because you don't get it. When it
It's because
actually,
it's not
when
one of those
done
things you
right,
can study.
it actually is a very powerful and very interesting class. I mean, later on, well, actually, yeah, go ahead.
That's the thing. That's just what it is for Hermione. It's something that's more, you would have to be naturally inclined versus you can study, like having actually done palm reading and tea leaf reading and all of that. You can study this as much as you want, but unless there is a natural leaning, especially in that world, it's not something that's going to suit her.
Yeah. Yep, indeed.
Totally true.
Now, what was the next one? Oh, then they go down to Hagrid's, and this was the thing that actually kind of, if you guys saw my brief review of the movie, objectively, this movie is very good. Like I said, it's 9 out of 10. Subjectively, though, I think I'm not as much of a fan of it because they changed the grounds to Hogwarts. Now, if you remember in the first and second movie, it's a straight shot across the lawn to Hagrid's hut, where in this movie, they introduced new grounds, which is going down a humongous hill to get to Hagrid's hut, and it's like, what is up with that? I mean, it is kind of odd. So then you also are introduced to Hagrid as a teacher because the old magical beast teacher, or whatever the damn subject was, I forget what it's called, but the old teacher wants to spend the remaining years of his life still attached to his limbs, as they said, which was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
they go out to the forest. They go out to the forest, and he's like, now, stay or keep up, you lot, and turn to page 39 in your book. How are we supposed to do that with freaking Malfoy? He's like, well, you just stroke the spine, of course. Goodness me. It's just love Hagrid out. Hagrid just handles. He's like, well, you stroke the spine, of course. It's like, yeah, of course, man. Like we've handled a freaking beast before.
Well, to be fair, they should have probably asked for instructions when they bought the book.
Yeah, that actually is one of those moments of, yeah, when they were sold the book, why didn't somebody say that?
Yeah, like why isn't there a sticker on the back of it or something?
Yeah, I would agree. Or something on the strap saying, to turn to the page that you want to turn to, stroke the spine of this book. And for those of you that are Potterheads, wasn't this book written by Nicholas Scamander from Fantastic Beasts?
Not this book. No.
It could have been.
Not this book?
Oh, that's the Fantastic Beasts. Where to find them? It's a book that actually in like first year or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do wonder what the maintenance of this book, though, is. Like, do you feed it lesser books? Like, does Twilight give it a stomach ache, or,
Indigestion.
Well, it's always spitting pages out when it tries to eat you. So, like, what's the lifespan on this? Like, is it going to run out of pages and just be, like, flopping around? All that words.
I'm not exactly sure how I should feel about that comment. Or at least I'm hoping that's not directed towards Orange and myself. or at least myself, because, well,
Why, you don't like compliments?
I don't consider
Speak for
myself.
yourself, Mr. Ambassador. I have a very fine ass.
Mr. Ambassador, you should just take the compliment. Don't be so bashful. Goodness.
And that's how I treat it. If somebody wants to compliment my ass, I just generally go, thank you.
Orange, you're on your own.
I want to bring up also, since you're talking about stroking the spine of this book and whatnot, is that Hagrid's a good teacher when even Draco Malfoy can't F it up. Because he actually strokes the spine, gets it to open up, and it's like, hey, you know what? Give that guy a cookie.
Lords, I happen to know that you are a guy, so I will say this very politely. I am spoken for.
If he's secure enough in himself to make the compliment, you can be secure in yourself enough to take the damn compliment. Come on.
Technically, Ords is spoken for too. His lady is one of the queens.
So you're safe.
Yes, she
It's okay, Ambassador. Safe.
Technically, they're both queens.
So
I'm not
Then
even
we
gonna
get-
step into that one. Nope.
I don't
Not
know.
gonna do
So,
it. Not gonna do it.
No.
Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
Ords was one of the first guys on our channel, or on our show. So yeah, he's been nicknamed the Bearded Queen.
Yes.
Oh my. Oh
I
my.
always address him as the bearded queen.
That's
Wouldn't he
awesome.
be more like the bearded lady?
No.
You know what? His hair is longer than mine.
Queen has a nicer ring to it. The bearded lady just sounds like a freak show, and
Yeah,
he's he
he,
has
do-
a
he does
title.
deserve some respect.
Yeah.
all right. So now we are introduced to Buckbeak the Hippogriff.
Mhm.
And we also get the very first hints that Hermione likes Ron. When she gets scared, she grabs Ron. Her hand goes right down to Ron, or Ron's hand, and Ron's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Basically, and then he just looks away, and she's like, "Just go with it, you idiot!" And oh my god, it was so freaking hilarious. And then Harry does his little bow and establishes the connection with Buckbeak. And the only thing that I'm sad about is that freaking Hagrid is feeding Buckbeak ferrets, because I love ferrets.
Yeah,
But
that's a little
it
crazy.
is what it is.
I thought it was
And
funny.
then
Hey,
Malfoy, after Harry gets a nice ride on Buckbeak, and he's like, "I think he'll let you ride him now." What? That was just the most. Nor he ignores Hagrid's orders. You do not want to insult a hippogriff. And he's like, "Yeah, you're not dangerous at all, are you, you great ugly brute?" And it's like, "Oh, you dumb fuck. You deserve what you get in this instance." But
Oh, he
Malfoy is
does.
a Malfoy, and it's killing me. It's killing me. It's killing me. You're
like I'm
fine,
dying.
man. It's just a freaking scratch.
yeah, running behind
Seriously.
Daddy's cloak as always. And can I just say, of all the Fantastic Beasts, and yes, the pun is deliberate, of all the Fantastic Beasts we meet in Harry Potter, I want a freaking hippogriff.
Right?
I do. I want a freaking hippogriff so bad.
Yeah, I kind of want one of those Thestral guys.
That's real
Soul
search.
Assassin?
I see. I want a pet I can see. I haven't seen that, so yeah.
Yes.
You'd be the talk of the party if you had one of those chilling in the middle of the room and see how many people came in going, "What is
I
that
have a
doing?"
wand, and I am not afraid to use it. I made this one with my own two hands.
Ambassador, the more you seem worked about it, the more I start to question things.
I'll go hide in the corner with my Thestals. It's okay.
All right. Stop measuring your wands.
Oh, there's no measuring. I made this with my own 2 hands.
It's not the size, it's how you use it.
Well, that's what she said.
That is exactly what I said.
So dropping the mic, I dropped the wand.
Oh.
You walked into it, Moira.
I didn't say you
right
dropped
into
the
it.
wand on me.
You
But you
walked
get worked
right
every
into
time
it.
you see like a guy compliment you're getting all worked up, and I'm sitting here like
I'm not worked
trying
up.
to think of what like euphemism.
Moira, this is not me worked up. You want to see me? You want to see me worked up? Go check out my stream about Rise of Skywalker. That's me worked up.
Oh my god! If I have to see another Star Wars,
That was from back in December. That's an old one.
oh okay.
That's an old
All
one.
right.
No, but you get lightly ruffled and stuff. Like when you saw that,
Let's get
subject of finance, you turn your camera on like what?
This is not me rough.
Yeah, let's get back.
This is me being jovial. So.
Yeah, let's get back. Let's
And
get back
speaking
on
of my
track.
fine looks, I'm amazed
So,
someone has complimented me on my
then-
haircut. I got my haircut today. No one said a thing.
Only one? Why didn't you get the rest of them cut?
Yeah, looks nice. Now,
Your hair does look good.
um,
I just couldn't resist the dad joke. Sorry.
Technically, wouldn't it be a mom joke because you're mama?
Yeah,
Not
I'm a single mom, so I gotta throw in the dad jokes once in a while.
Touche.
now, then there's they go to the Great Hall and you see freaking ghosts just bursting through the freaking windows, and the window is not broken, but it still has a ghost. There is a ghost of a window, for crying out loud, in that scene, and I'm like, how does a window have a ghost? Yeah, because they come in shattering the window, but
They do.
the window's not shattered, and it's like,
From the window
what
that
the
was
hell?
done before it'd be like, I don't know, like when you see ghosts walking around and they're wearing what they died in or something. It doesn't mean the clothing itself is a ghost. It's just part of what had happened, kind of like a visual echo. So, I mean,
Good point.
That is a good point. Yeah.
I mean, we don't have, I mean, at least most times in movies, you don't see naked ghosts, but you see them like reading a book or doing something. It's echoing something that had happened. So. I did find the effects cool, though.
I mean, I don't know. I have seen a naked ghost here and there.
I mean,
Well,
I
usually not. That's why I'm like, usually you don't.
But anyway,
I think it's general in this case. It's a lot of residual self-image type thing. I mean, guaranteed there's bound to be somebody over the years that's died in Hogwarts that, wasn't dressed when they died, but it's not like they're floating around naked. So then again, when it comes to the ghosts and the ghostly window and the Hogwarts ground, any weird things that happens in Harry Potter that I explain, I just blame it on a wizard. So
True facts.
a wizard did it.
Very true.
Quite literally, a wizard did it.
It's like what is it? That History Channel of the guy with his hands
So-
up and says aliens.
Yeah.
Oh.
Says wizards.
Get into the first Defense Against the Dark Arts lesson with Remus Lupin, which is the boggart. Now, here's a question for the panel. If you had to stare at a boggart, what shape would it take?
Ooh.
I'm trying to think of a visual representation of great heights because I hate heights. So, I mean, I don't know. What would that look like? A giant pit, maybe?
Without hesitation, zombie.
Ooh, nice. Headshot.
Hmm.
Oh, hey, that's right. We can do Moira's that video again where they're using the modified wands in that scenario to do a headshot.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was
I hope
hilarious.
there's a full movie of that.
Lorena, what would you see if you stared at a boggart?
What I say? People who know my live streams would probably think I would say alligator, but no. Actually, it would be spiders. I hate spiders.
Ugh.
That's why Aragog freaked me out. I don't freaking like spiders. I will freak the heck out.
I was going to say alligator would be the last thing I would expect for you. I wasn't kidding like a couple weeks ago when I said I could see you walking around with one on a leash.
Yeah.
Like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, Lorena, but I'm not even that deathly afraid of spiders. But when Ron puts his in rollerblades or whatever, in real life, I think I would still be scared just because it's still a giant ass spider flopping around the room.
Oh, you and me both. Yeah. The snake didn't do anything. That thing would have to blow up.
Glad I'm not alone because I was like, Ron, what is your problem?
Yeah.
The one for me was what was it? The Jack in the Box clown that made it into a clown. That wasn't an improvement.
No, it wasn't.
That was
Yeah.
That clown was terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Concerned that was.
And we all know why. Yeah. And we all know why Lupin jumped in front of Harry, because he actually thought that it would have taken the shape of Lord Voldemort. And he's like, well, I did think of him at first, but then I realized I don't know what the hell he looks like. So I thought of the Dementor. And it actually is, if you think about it, a very wise thing to think about when facing a Dementor. You're just your greatest fear is fear itself. And as he says, it's very wise, because if fear is your greatest fear, fear has no shape. So it makes you wonder how would he handle what would fear be shaped like? But yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I wonder what it would look like if you put a boggart in front of a mirror.
Technically, it could be a phobophobia.
There you go, man.
Years. There you go. I had to look that up.
Phobosphobia. Yeah. There you go.
Ridiculous name, but also
Now,
I gotta say that's like one of the most.
then he gets advanced training from Lupin, and I gotta say the casting for Remus Lupin in this movie.
It's perfect.
David Thewlis is awesome in everything ever.
Oops, sorry. No. Sorry about that. But yeah, the casting for Remus Lupin was very well done with David Thewlis. I got to say that I did not think that was a bad casting at all.
That's David Thewlis is awesome in everything ever.
It was weird going back and seeing him in
Lessons,
Omen
and he learns how to conjure the Patronus. So, wow, we're already at the hour already. So we're gonna keep.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if I've brought it up in the past.
We're gonna keep going because we're having fun, and we're not even close.
We're not even close to done.
Yeah, no. Is it just me? Because to me, it feels like they cast a lot older for a lot of these roles. Because, like, technically, Remus and Sirius, and if Harry's parents were all alive, would be like maybe early 40s at that point. And they all feel like they're at least 10 years or more older than they should be. And that's the one thing that's always bugged me with the casting. Like, Sirius just looks too old to me, and Remus looks too old to me. But then again, I don't know. I could just be making that up in my head. But I mean, personality-wise, I have no problem with them. I think they're awesome.
I look at the visual age difference from what they should be as, and I will just shrug it off as this whole series is from the perspective of Harry.
Okay.
So to a
That's
kid,
true.
people do look older than what they actually are.
That's actually a really good way to look at it. Holy cow.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Mads, honestly, because if you think about it, a young person, everybody's going to look just a little bit older than they actually are. I mean, just from personal experience, when I was a young kid, I always thought my mother and grandmother were way older than they actually were, when in fact, my mother, during my early adolescence, she was just in her early 30s. Or, well, not early 30s, but mid to late 30s. So even she wasn't old, but to me, she was really old. And my grandmother, she was in her late 50s going on 60s, if I remember correctly. So I think to young eyes, well, to quote a wise old Jedi Master, do I look so old to young eyes?
I also take the same perspective when it comes to the way the other houses are portrayed, because this is all coming from the perspective of Gryffindor. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get into the introduction to Hogsmeade. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just, pontificating about like what the other houses might look like, because we've only ever really get to see Slytherin. But keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, that is true. So we're going to get into the introduction of Hogsmeade, and he tries getting God damn it, I'm blanking her name. McGonagall to sign, and she's like, I can't. It would be inappropriate. And so he tries using his invisibility cloak. Well, you can't really slip one by Fred and George Weasley. And they're like, nice try, Harry. And he's like, I'm trying to get it on me. We know. We're going to help you. And so one of the best lines comes from those two. It's like, or everyone, where they are, what they're doing, every minute of every day. Brilliant. Where'd you get it? Nicked it off of Filch, of course, first year. It was, oh my gosh. That is one of the best moments of Fred and George Weasley in the movies. Bar none. So then he gets into Hogsmeade, and then you get another funny line from one of the frickin' thick heads, or shrunken heads, rather, in the tavern. It's like, sorry, no underage wizards allowed in today. Shut the damn door! Oh my gosh, that was just so freaking thickheads. And we all know that Harry overhears the conversation between McGonagall, Madam, what's her name, the tavern head, and the Minister of Magic himself, Fudge. And Harry leaves in a huff, plows over a bunch of freaking carolers like it's nobody's business, and then makes his declaration where he wants to kill Sirius Black. What'd y'all think of it?
For me, it was the same gripe I have when it comes to a lot of the stuff with how they treat Harry. They all, like the first movie and this one, they dance around the stuff that he really should know. Like, he should know what everybody else knows, that his parents were killed by Voldemort. He should have been told that the person that escaped from Azkaban, everyone thinks killed his parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And they're treating him like a kid, because granted, he is, but he's not an ordinary kid. This is stuff that does affect him.
Yeah, that's true. I'm curious because I'm not that role, but like the parents who read or watch the movies, right? Like, what is their point of view versus like others on the way that the professors treat Harry, right? Like, because like I kind of grew up reading them as the kid, you know, but then I know there are a lot of adults who have picked the books up and read them, and so like I'm always kind of curious about that side of it. So I don't know if anybody knows anybody or whatnot about opinions or what, but I don't know, because I feel like it would be different maybe, because I certainly have changed my views of certain situations like now, because I've like helped raise my niece for several years. Like I'll watch like the earlier Harry Potter movies now and be like, oh my god, if like, you know, that was my niece, I would be freaking out, you know, like, so I don't know, it's a little bit different in that regard, but I don't know if anybody else has thoughts on that.
Sorry, taking care of something.
It's all right.
Mhm.
And okay, so now we're going to get into the Quidditch match, and I believe it was Hufflepuff that they were going up against, and Harry sees the Grim in the clouds after another kid gets struck by lightning when chasing the snitch, and he loses his best and awesome broom, which is the Nimbus 2000.
Yeah.
And it really does suck because it flew right into the Whomping Willow, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh, look, something for me to bust up. Yeah. And we then see how the Dementors seem to take a particular interest in Harry because they go full attack on him. And what do you guys think is their particular interest in Harry? Is it because he has a lot of despair that they can feed off of? Or is it because of another reason, do you think?
Oh,
Go for it.
remember
Go
in
ahead.
like first or second one where they explained that when he got the star, Voldemort left a part of himself with Harry.
Oh,
That might be what's getting their attention the most.
like the Horcrux kind of idea of like maybe drawing them to him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's possible they detect some of that magic on him and kind of going after it.
You know, I never would have thought of that.
You know, that is actually...
It just
Yeah.
kind of came to mind. I was like, oh.
Damn. That's actually a pretty good theory,
It is.
considering that they did serve
Mhm.
Voldemort. Yeah, they did serve Voldemort during the First War. And it's like, Master! Oh, wait, you're an imposter. We're going to kill you now! Yeah.
Yeah.
That does explain why he would radiate differently, especially when you compare against
Now-
kids like Hufflepuff. We meet her in the next book.
Yeah.
Luna.
Yeah.
Luna watched her mother die,
Yep.
but they didn't focus on her like they did on Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I think Moira's
We lost Mads.
no, Mads
Really?
is still there.
I'm still here.
Oh, Mads.
Went quiet for a moment.
I see you. Mm.
Sorry, folks. I
Yeah,
seem to have a lag.
no, Moira. Honestly, I think your theory, because honestly, it came across my mind. as well and everything, considering what we learn later on in terms of Harry Potter and the fact that part of Voldemort's soul is inside of Harry. So it would make sense for the Dementors to be attracted to him because, as you said, or I think it was Orange who said it, that the Dementors did serve Voldemort because, well, he attracts all things evil to him. He's like a giant evil-sucking magnet.
It seems weird they would use something that served Voldemort to guard a prison.
Yeah, because honestly, I think in terms of this particular movie, having something like the Dementors, who they are very sinister unto themselves, they are drawn to the echo of Voldemort or to the piece of Voldemort that still inhabits Harry's body.
Mhm.
So I think honestly the fact that Harry is the Horcrux that Voldemort never intended to create, and the fact that Voldemort's stuck inside Harry's head, the Dementors were going to be attracted to him regardless of anything else that happened. It would have been like he would have been like a beacon and everything for the Dementors. That's what I'm trying to get at. He would have, and well, if you notice throughout this entire movie, oftentimes sinister or evil things are attracted to Harry. I mean, the Dementors for one, the Basilisk, and so on. There are so many things that are just attracted to Harry, and it's obviously because of that piece of Voldemort's soul that's stuck inside of him. And this was just further evidence of that, truthfully. So, just to kind of expand upon what Moira had already said.
Yeah. Okay, it seems that this Hulk guy is starting to be a troll. Thank you, Soul Assassin, for putting him in timeout.
Thank you, Soul Assassin.
I don't know why. I don't know why it autocorrected to white. It was supposed to be. It said shite, and it autocorrected to white.
Oh my goodness!
But
I
either way,
I thought it was intentional. I mean,
it worked either way. That's fine. But it was supposed to be shite, and it autocorrected to white because apparently my phone didn't understand shite.
Down, Moira.
But knock it off.
Try to keep a baby in the chat.
Get away.
Hey,
I just wanted to explain the
I get it,
autocorrect
though.
Irish terminology.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, gosh, man.
well,
I didn't even realize until this was on the screen. I'm like,
Mounts of Elysium brings up an interesting theory as well. If you want to pop that up there, Orange, because it kind of goes with both Moira's and Milo contribution.
Yeah. What if they were drawn to Voldemort's soul, not because they serve him, but because by consuming part of his soul, they may have thought they could reverse that Voldemort at this stage did not know. Well, there is a chance that if they did consume part of his soul, it would destroy the Horcrux itself. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something that we would actually have to reach out to J.K. Rowling about. I mean, that's actually something that is interesting. What would have happened if they would have, or if a Dementor puts a kiss on one of Voldemort's Horcruxes, would it kill it? That would actually be an interesting question. Good job, or good theory, Mountains of Elysium. Very good.
Yeah, he's
Now, our
he and
next
I work a lot
bit
together.
of business is where
Very sharp
he
guy.
is, or where he heard that Peter Pettigrew, and he sees him on the map. And
Peter
does
Pettigrew.
anybody, yeah. Yeah. Now, does anybody what was your thoughts when he went looking for Peter Pettigrew? And what was your thought of just a bit of parchment? Really, open it, reveal your secrets, and they just start throwing digs at Professor Snape to keep his abnormally large
funny.
nose out of other people's.
That was funny. That was
Yeah.
It wasn't. See,
Hold on, folks. Hulk.
Yep.
If you do get timed out one more time, you're done. Soul Assassin.
I would have nuked him 2
If
seconds
you're
after
able,
he arrived.
I know, but if he gets timed out, or you get 3 strikes, Hulk, if you do not stop, you will be booted. That is your final warning. You're now on your 3rd strike, because this I actually had to take away from the stream to cover this. If you keep on pulling this shit, you're done. I do not allow trolls or spammers into my frickin' chats.
nor do I.
So Soul Assassin, after his timeout, if he continues to do it, boot him.
oh, he will. He's a cave troll.
Well, then he's gonna be blocked from my channel if he continues this shit. So now, where was I? Peter Pettigrew
Yeah,
and Snape and whatnot. Do you think that Snape would have actually attacked Harry if Lupin wasn't there? What do you guys think? Do you think he would have actually done something to Harry?
Ladies first.
I don't think he would have actually done something. I mean, we do see that he has mixed feelings about Harry, but it is still a part of Lily, and he recognizes that. Plus, the whole, it would kind of cost him his job,
Well, he's also like, buddy with Dumbledore. I mean, that's the one thing is like, I think a lot of people lose sight of, because you don't really find out until later and you kind of see it in retrospect. But like, he and Dumbledore, like they know what's going down already technically. And so even if he really tests Harry, it's not like he's going to like do anything,
But I gotta say,
to be
when
fair, Snape does get some enjoyment by
tormenting
Go
him.
ahead.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no secret there that Snape does enjoy tormenting Harry. But for me, the whole thing, especially centered around when Lupin confronts Harry about the Marauders Map.
Mhm.
Every time I watch that scene, I wish Hermione was there. And I know in the book she's not. And because I sit there and I watch the whole interaction and I'm like, does it not occur to you to ask him how he knows this? So, because he says there, do you realize that this in Sirius Black's hands is a map to you? I'm like, how does he know this? How does he know that Sirius would know this? Hermione would ask these questions. Why are you being so dense?
Yep.
Well,
That's a good point.
Yeah. Larry, Lorena, you want to go ahead and anything? And I'll go.
I'm good. I really do have to say, I really did like the Marauders Map. And one of the reasons that I liked it, especially in the film, was how they used it as a tool for exposition, but they did it in a way where you couldn't quite figure out what it was for until you start seeing the pieces go together. Like when they're trying to figure out just where Peter Pettigrew is, and you see him getting closer to Harry and closer to Harry and closer to Harry, and he's looking around, he's looking at the map, and he's looking around, he's looking at the map, and the feet just go right by him.
Oh, I know.
And we're just like, what the heck was that about?
Yeah.
You mean you can't see the map? And when he said, the map is defective, it's like, no, the map doesn't lie. And we're just like, how the heck is it that if the map doesn't lie, then where the heck is Peter Pettigrew, and how did he miss him?
Mhm.
Well, because he was a
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
just like how they use the map in the movie. I just thought it was a cool plot device.
You know, I gotta say it's a crime that Harry didn't use it more.
Yeah.
And as a teenager, he should have been using that invisibility cloak way more.
yes. I know I would have. Yeah.
There
I feel
actually
Oh,
there actually
gosh.
were alarms on the female dormitories.
Harry Potter rated R edition, folks. Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sakes!
But,
Why don't you get your
yeah,
head out of the gutter?
That's what I thought of
Yeah.
it too when you
Who
said
says
it.
my head was ever in the gutter or was ever out of the gutter? But anyway,
No, I'll admit, I'll admit
well-
mine was, but I already looked into it. There actually were alarms on the female dormitories if a boy entered there.
Oh wow.
very true.
Yeah,
Very true.
probably were. Well, you know, just my 2 cents on the Marauders Map and that whole exchange between Harry and Snipe and Lupin. I liked the map. I thought it was a great plot device. I would love to have something like that in real life. I won't lie. That thing is, and you know, in
I
terms
have
of the, huh?
I have it.
Why am I not surprised? You big perv.
Not with me, but I have it.
Why am I not surprised, you big old perv? Sorry.
Not as magical as one might think, though.
True. In terms of the interaction between Harry and Snipe and Lupin in that scene, I don't think Snipe would have actually hurt Harry. Maybe reprimanded him, but physically harm him, that's a touch close, because here's the thing. He might enjoy intimidating Harry, but that's still Lily's son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we know that Snipe and James Parr, they butted heads when they were at their time there at Hogwarts and everything. But I don't think Snipe would ever deliberately hurt Harry. Now, do I think he was trying to push Harry to be a better wizard? Yeah, but that's something we can cross that bridge when we come to it. I think what Snipe was trying to do was trying to push Harry to be a better wizard. Was he being a bit of a jerk about it? Yes, I agree. He was being a bit of a jerk about it, but at the same time, his intentions, by and large, were good. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I like Mountain of Elysium's idea there.
Mm-hmm.
But since there was alarms everywhere, how?
Alrighty, so now we're going to get into the later bit. And this is actually something that's going to Yeah. Now, yeah. Now sorry, but we are going to have to get this done before 11 o'clock. Or the Grim shows up, or no. God damn it, let me focus for a second. Okay. They just got word that Bumblebee, frickin' the Hippogriff, Buckbeak, has to be put down. He's been sentenced to death. And the person who's actually the executioner is a freaking former Death Eater, for those who know their stuff. Now,
Really? I did not know.
Yes, he was actually, or it was, I can't remember his name. It wasn't, but anyway, he actually shows up in the 4th one. Now, there's the foul, loathsome, evil little cockroach.
I believe it's McNair. Sorry.
Yeah, McNair, you're right. Yeah. McNair was there. And, Hermione gives a good punch on Malfoy, and then they know that, or then they have to say goodbye to Buckbeak because Buckbeak, in this instance, does get executed. executed. He gets beheaded. They don't
Nope.
show it, but it is very highly implied. Now,
Well, I would argue that it
He
is.
did
when
not get
Scabbers
executed.
bites Ron, runs towards the Whomping Willow, and then Sirius shows up in dog form. Now, in the book, dragon. Okay, your points. Go ahead.
Oh shit! I mean, things got distractions. Your Hulk is back, but no, it falls
AFK, you
under,
were saying.
like something similar to one of the time theory, like loop theory.
Hulk is back.
Because
Yes, he's
remember where they're at the pumpkins and they're hiding before they try to scurry away. She turns and she goes, "I thought I saw. Never mind." It means the time travel happened already and didn't at the same time. So the bird was never executed because it showed what happened after they released the bird. The guy just chopped the pumpkin. So nothing technically changed. They were the ones that threw the rocks through the window at themselves to warn themselves because the time travel technically, like I said, had already happened. So the bird never was executed. But it was going to be if they didn't.
That's
Now, yeah, good point, because there are hints that do tell that maybe he didn't die. Hermione looking back when she says, "I thought I just saw it," and so on and so forth. So yes, there are hints at that, and then there's also the hints of Harry by the lake and the Patronus one, the Dementors. Now, in the book, Crookshanks hits a certain knotted root on the Whomping Willow to paralyze it. So, and instead, in the movie, they actually have Hermione throw Harry into the Whomping Willow's under root, and then she somehow gets in there too. So it still begs the question: how does Crookshanks know about the Whomping Willow's paralyzed spot? Anybody?
Well, this could go back to just real quick. This could go back to the theory that Crookshanks actually is an animagus. Maybe Crookshanks isn't a wizard, a named wizard that we know of, but maybe it's an unnamed wizard that we don't know of that decided to attach him or herself to Hermione because realized how smart and on the ball Hermione was and wanted to be a good familiar for a good witch.
Yeah, maybe it was somebody that had a crush on
That
Sirius. That would be how, or originally had a crush on Remus. That would be also how it would be in the loop to know about the Shrieking Shack, about who Peter Pettigrew was, and how to paralyze the tree. Because that's something very few would know.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you remember, I forget who said exactly, it takes a lot of concentration and force of will to maintain a shapeshift or anything for an animagus. So this had to be a very exceedingly powerful witch or wizard that was taking the form of Crookshanks for all that time. Because doesn't Crookshanks show up in all the other movies up to this point, or after this point rather?
All except the final.
Okay, except for the Deathly Hallows.
Crookshanks isn't mentioned in the Deathly Hallows, and that always bugged me because she's wandering around. Obviously, Crookshanks is not with her parents. Is Crookshanks in the bag?
That's a possibility too.
All right, so they get in there and they find out who the Animagus is, and Harry basically has Sirius dead to rights, and then Remus comes in and disarms Harry, and they try to explain it. And I gotta say, this is some of the best acting where he's like, or where they talk about the map and how it never lies and whatnot, and he's like, the map never lies. Pettigrew is alive, and he's right there. And he points at Ron.
I'm like, what are we pointing at?
He's like, not you. You're right.
Wow.
He's like, Scabbers has been in my family for 12 years. Curiously long life for a common garden rat. He's missing a toe, isn't he? And he's like, so what? Well, the only thing Pettigrew, or they could find in Pettigrew, was his finger. The dirty coward cut it off to make everybody think he was dead. And then he transformed into a rat. The way they handled that rat, oh dear God. It's like, are they going to have like an ASPCA on their ass for that scene? Because holy shit, I thought he was going to kill the damn thing.
Yeah, rat.
Well, because you have to remember, it was filmed over in England. It wasn't filmed in America, so there is no ASPCA. It's the American... Or no, wait a minute, the A doesn't stand for American. Sorry, never mind. Ignore me.
It stands for animal.
It's like that. Yeah, animal. Never mind. Ignore me.
I'm sure there's some British equivalent anyway.
I would imagine there is.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So then they transform him into Peter Pettigrew, and his his fingernails are long and sharp, probably because he's been a rat for freaking 12 years and whatnot. But oh my God, you could just see that this dude just looks so freaking sinister, man. He looks just like kid. You got the friends, and it's like, dude, you're creepy. Get the fuck away, or I'm stunning your ass. But also, freaking Harry did stun Snape, which I'm like, holy
he did.
Shit.
Well, that wasn't the stun spell. He used the Expelliarmus spell on him, and he knocked. He knocked
Snape
Snape
into a wall.
into a bed.
Into a bed, yeah.
into a bed, knocked him on his ass.
Yeah.
Like,
and so
Harry lowered the boom. Here comes the boom, Severus. Here comes the boom.
So then they have Pettigrew dead to rights, ready to kill him. Both Remus and Sirius, and this is where a very deep magic comes into play. Harry stops them both, and Remus is like, "Harry, I know who he is, but he lives, and we're gonna take him up, to the castle." Basically, he doesn't know that this is a very deep magic that is being cast with his action here. He basically has put a sort of life debt on Pettigrew, which comes to play later on. Except that they don't show it in the movies. They actually skip it entirely. But I wish they had actually touched on it in the movies, because it's actually a pivotal event. And it's like, this sort of thing needs or should have been shown in the movies, where he owes his life to Harry. Peter Pettigrew owes his life to Harry. He doesn't have to be his slave or anything, no. And he can betray him too. But if Harry decides to collect, he has no choice, or he is absolutely compelled to follow whatever happens. He is absolutely compelled to save his life, or to save Harry's life in return. And so when they get when they're on their way out of the Whomping Willow, he's like, "Sorry about the bite. I bet that twinges a bit. I bet you nearly ripped my leg off." He's like, "Well, I was going for the rat, and normally I have a cute disposition as a dog. And more than once, James thought I should make the transformation permanent. The tail I could live with, but the fleas, they're murder. And everybody's laughing except for Ron because his leg is freaking just mangled. And that's when shit goes to pop because, let me pull it up here. Well, full moon, Remus didn't take his potion.
Yeah, nobody checked for the date.
And we get... Yeah.
Yeah, can I just say that has got to
We
be
get
one of the
this little puppy here.
little.
Go ahead.
Little, they ain't a little puppy. That's a rabid dingo about to eat my baby. That is not some little happy puppy
Cute.
you pet on its head.
That's a Chernobyl.
That's the thing that you kill it with fire or silver or something.
You know,
Even
maybe
though it
this
is-
is. Oh, sorry.
Even
Go
though it
ahead.
is
Jess.
Remus. No, it's okay. Go ahead, Lorena, please.
I was going to say maybe this is just me, but when he transformed like that, for some reason, I got American Werewolf in London flashbacks.
I did too. I did
Okay.
too.
Okay.
That's
I
because
thought
It wasn't just you.
Okay.
And
That's because it was
Lorena,
practical effects.
It was what?
That's because it was practical effects.
at least in part, yes.
But
Well,
I just thought
yeah.
that was just a cool. I'm like, if
Listen.
they did that on purpose, that was a very, very cool homage to that movie.
I think honestly, every movie that has some sort of werewolf transformation has some sort of roots back to American Werewolf in London. Unless I am mistaken, which I could be. I think. Yep. HBO Max has American Werewolf in London. Or at least wait a minute. No, it doesn't.
It's still a werewolf in Britain, so like not far from London.
So they took it off.
There you go.
Now I'm mad.
But no, I do think it was a nod to the original movie. Because the transformation was very, very similar.
Yeah, very like deliberate, and it came in stages and just really, just to get the whole just, I guess I don't want to say workload, but just like the whole effect from start to finish, and it doesn't like go in a straight line. It's like stops and starts. Is he going to? Is he not going to? Yeah.
What kills me is all of these people who know the moment he transforms, he doesn't know who any of them are. He doesn't know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they're still trying to reason with him.
He doesn't know who you are.
It's a kid thing.
Yeah,
too.
they do
I
stuff.
Like
Okay.
even Marnie at one point is going, Professor, like, yeah, you're the one that stated it in class.
I gotta say, like that part in the movie and the books both like are like where my heart kind of like palpitated a whole bunch. Where because it's like you literally go from like this one moment where Harry's like, "Oh boy, I've got a godfather. I can go live with this super cool dude. Oh, this is gonna be super awesome." And then like literally like a snap later, it's like, "Oh f the guy who was like your one got like freebie card got away, and now your best friend's turned into a werewolf and shit's gone." And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, I think that was probably one of the first times in like the series where I like had like such a visceral like reaction, like because like the other books, you know, like you get into them, but with that, like at that point in Harry's life, you're like,
Yeah, you had that moment of hope that
Yeah.
he was going to get away from the Dursleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
moment, you know,
Yes.
and it's like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
because honestly,
I love it and hate it.
Yes.
I would have loved to have an uncle or a godfather like Sirius Black because that guy is just absolute kick-ass. Not to mention, I want Gary Oldman to be my godfather. Gary Oldman, if you can hear this, let me be my godfather. Please. Just for a day. That's all I ask. We'll go have lunch. We'll go have a proper spot of English.
Moira has to bow out, guys. So
Yeah.
sorry, she has stuff she has to take care of. But so thank you, Moira, for coming by. I know she's already gone, but still, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
on the flip side.
Yep. So Sirius basically saves their asses right before, but before he comes in, freaking Snape comes out ready for murder to kick Potter's ass because, well, Potter did attack me. He's like, "There you are, Potter!" He's like, "Oh shit, there's a freaking werewolf here." Oh damn! So then freaking Sirius comes in right after Snape is knocked out, so he can't really say that Sirius saved his life. It's like, oh so it's like, God damn it! Is there never going to be any good vibes between the two? But so it's like seriously a no pun intended with the serious part, but it's it's like, God damn it, there was so much potential there for them to bury the hatchet, but they, I believe, end up do. Gary Oldman is scary in person, I hear. I actually heard he's quite a charming guy in person.
I've heard he's very, very charming, very nice guy.
I just thought it was funny he needed British accent lessons to do these movies.
Well,
I always thought he was British.
Oh, wow.
God damn it, I always thought he was British.
He is British. That's the thing. But he has done American accents for so long.
Yep.
That he needed a refresher course from the linguist.
God.
That can happen. Here's the crazy thing. I actually had a professor.
How does that work?
I get it. My father actually was born in Amsterdam, and
wow, cool.
he could. And now you can hear, you can kind of hear the fact that I grew up around the accent when I slip into it, and he would do the same thing, but 90% of the time he sounded like just like I do, like a regular, walking around Canadian, because they moved here when he was in his teens, so he could go back and forth, but most of the time, like his side note, fun fact, I will explain the connection in a minute. During the war, the symbol for the sign that you were part of the underground, the resistance, was a particular town, was the name of a particular town in Holland, because only locals could pronounce it correctly. My dad could not pronounce that correctly. So that's how the connection works.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, I wish we had some really difficult accents around here, but America's kind of embarrassing.
Oh no, you do. America does have accents. You want a great example of American accents? You just sit and watch The Dark Council. You've got a good selection right there.
And there's even a couple that are missing too.
Oh, true. True, but you got that nice New York accent with DiMaggio. You got the Texas accent. You got,
Floridian with Drunk Radio.
Yep.
Well, and here's the crazy thing. Yeah, just real quick, I had a professor in university that was actually French, but for as long as she has lived here, or had lived here, because she's unfortunately no longer with us. Mm-hmm. Her accent never faded. It never diminished. And the crazy thing was, I had her for a class, and I was about the only person who could understand her whenever she spoke, because a lot of the other students in the class would be like, huh? What'd she say? Or sometimes, and she explained this, she's like, I may say one thing, you may hear another, and you may hear something that you aren't supposed to hear. Because if she said a sheet of paper, you might hear a sheet of paper. So, yeah, it is possible for people that have a foreign accent to lose their accent. So it doesn't surprise me that Gary Oldman did have to have some dialect coaching. The stag.
That was the
Nice.
one. That was the one thing I wanted them to do in the movie. That quick 5 seconds where he looks at the stag and he goes, "Prongs." That would have sealed it for me.
They needed that. They needed to connect it more fully to the.
Just that one moment would have explained the Marauders Map and how they knew about it, because they missed that factor in the movie.
Yeah, and
they never did truly explain who it was.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, that's it.
So now Harry is basically getting attacked by like 100 Dementors, and he sees what he thought was his father, which actually is not too far off because his father, as an animagus, was a stag, which is pretty cool and very fitting when it comes to Harry's Patronus. So, what is everybody's thoughts on this whole scene where the Patronus comes out?
Sorry, I jumped the gun on that one.
It's okay.
But yeah, that's it exactly. I love the fact that his Patronus was the same as his father's, and how in the book it does give Harry that light bulb moment of, okay, now I get it. Now I understand who the Marauders are, which is, like I said, the one thing they missed.
Totally true. I mean, if you're going to bring the map in just for the convenience of having him know where to go, but not actually explain it in connection to the people, I mean, the characters that are already in the movie that are connected with it, it's just like, that's just a missed opportunity. And I don't know. It also would explain the insults, because you think, oh, yeah, the map is insulting Snape because, it was the Weasleys. But no, it was insulting him because it was James and Remus and Sirius, and they didn't like Snape. Yeah. So it's like it was compelled to be like that. And it's just like, you miss the details, I think, in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you listen to when Harry's reading the title of the map, Masters Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prawns.
Yes.
You can also figure out who is who. Wormtail's obviously Pettigrew, Padfoot is Sirius, Prawns is probably James, and Mooney is probably Remus.
Yeah, they don't even make the opportunity to even explain that, because it's like, why are these all random people and my guy? It's like, well, it's because Remus had an issue and they were all BFFs and they wanted to hang out with them. And it's like, that's such a sweet thing that you could have thrown in there too. It would explain why Remus and Sirius were still so close after all these years,
Well, and here's the interesting thing, oftentimes when you're in university, and I can speak from firsthand experience, and this is not a dig at anyone if you've not been to college or university, far from it. There are certain people that you hang around for so long, you grow that bond builds. And when you go through stuff like they did, particularly with the first war against Voldemort, that tie is going to stay there, because when you go through war, if you are familiar with men and women who have been through conflict, who have been through a war, like a real life war, obviously, there's a tie or a bond that develops. So I think for James and for Remus and for Sirius and for Peter, because I don't think Peter was always evil. I get the impression Peter was not always evil and everything. I get the feeling that he wasn't always crooked or whatever, but he was attracted. Go ahead, AFK.
He was the anti-Neville. He was like the Neville that went off to the dark side.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind of tag along, but the right guidance.
So, I think honestly, the fact that the four of those four guys and everything, they had such a tight bond, is not surprising. And in terms of James and Harry's Patronus both being a stag, I think Harry was just I think in his own way, it was an homage to his late father. I could see if I was a wizard and I knew that my father's particular Patronus or whatever was a particular animal, I'd probably do the same thing. Considering how much respect and love and admiration Harry had for his father, it makes it to me it makes perfect sense. So
I don't remember. Did they explain that he learned that his dad was a stag before or after it was his own was the stag? You know what I mean? Like, because they
After.
obviously in the movie they didn't touch on the connection to the animal name, but for Harry, did he create a stag first, or did he learn that his dad's was a stag first?
He learned after the fact.
mhm.
So like that might be like some sort of inner spiritual thing. I don't know, that he would have the
Yeah.
same as his dad. I guess it's convenient, but also I love this in the storyline has been too. And, yeah, and that I guess that would be the secondary part of this, like the second scene in the movie where I'm like, are you serious? Only gonna split it in half, where you have this moment of hope where somebody cast the spell to protect him, right? And you're like, oh my god, who is that person? And then, later on you're like, oh. But at least it's a cool reveal.
Yeah. And so now that everything is basically concluded in that area, they actually have to go through time. And I'm not going to really touch too much on it because there was the mystery of the time turner and whatnot, but we are getting close to 2 hours, and I want to stop at 2 hours. So yes, one of the funny parts in this movie was where Dumbledore comes in and he's in the hospital wings and he just taps on Weasley's leg, which is still mangled, and then he sends what's her name and Harry back through time with the time turner, Hermione, and we see all the different things and how how most of the stuff, why these different mysterious happenings, the Harry getting hit in the back of the head in Hagrid's hut, the birds flying, Buckbeak being saved, and whatnot. It shows all of the them freeing Sirius. And then we get to the end of the movie, which is actually something that happens earlier in the movie, which is Harry gets a firebolt to replace the 2001 or the 2000 or the Nimbus 2000.
Mhm.
And it's like, that was one of the things that kind of bothered me, because it's like, it actually was more important in the book. It's like, we need to know where this came from, who sent it. You're not allowed to have it until we can verify this and that. Also, that's not the only thing that came to Harry at the end of the book or at the end of the movie. Well, in the movie it doesn't come out, but in the book he receives a signed letter from Sirius Black giving him permission to go to Hogsmeade next year, which is pretty cool. So now, before we go, I'm going to ask everybody how they would rate this movie out of 10, and we'll start with Lorena. How would you rate Prisoner of Azkaban out of 10?
I would rate it about a 9 out of 10. The biggest reason that I like this movie has to do with the director, and I love his work. Also, just really like the story. Out of the 3 so far, actually, I'll give it like a 9.5, because up till now, that's like my favorite one. I'd like the Harry Potter movies and I enjoyed watching them, but this one was the one that really made me sold on wanting to see all the other movies, especially with the introduction of Sirius Black and what happened to him, through the movie. It's like we started out kind of like, oh my gosh, he's this villain. And then by the end, it's just like, I want to see what happens with him and Harry in the next movie.
Nice. Alrighty. And Mads, what would you rate Prisoner of Azkaban?
Honestly,
out of
I gotta give it a 9. I love the movie, absolutely adore it. I mean, we get to see Hagrid doing what he's actually really good at, and interacting with animals that everybody else thinks are big and terrifying. And this is actually where that first moment where I started, identifying with Hagrid.
Yes.
My only complaints about it are the ones I mentioned. Those moments that I don't know if it's the Ravenclaw in me or whatnot, but every time I watch the movie, I always wind up shouting the same things at the screen. Yeah. How does he know this? Like, I know how he knows this, but still.
Yeah.
So yeah, 9.
All right. AFK, out of 10, how would you rate it?
Oh boy, I'm like this one. I'm gonna say 9 because I love it, and I have those moments too where it's just like I think the biggest flaws is like I'm not saying this because I'm like snobbish, is like because I read the books, but like it comes down to like the storytelling elements and how it left a lot that was in the books out that lended to making sense of what happens. So I really like it. It's probably my probably number one favorite out of all of them to begin with. And yeah, so woohoo! Glad I could hang out for this.
All right. Ambassador?
Honestly, I would give this 9.5468219. In other words,
Okay.
I really liked it down to the decimal point. Honestly, this is where the series really starts to turn in a lot of ways in terms of aesthetic and the style and design and everything, and the story itself starts to turn. The first two movies or the first two chapters of this saga are a little more lighthearted. Here, you're starting to go into the dark woods, and here there be monsters, and they only get fierce. They only get more fearsome the deeper you go in. So honestly, yeah, this for me is a solid 9.5. So
yeah. Alrighty. So before I get into that, am I still lagging, folks?
Just a smidge. Just a smidge. Not much, but just a smidge.
Okay. I guess it's because I had a lot more windows on or for the pictures and whatnot. Well, that was an experiment. So for me, objectively, I gave this movie a 9 out of 10. The writing and whatnot is actually very well done. It's the digital effects that hurt the movie the most from an objective standpoint. It's the ain't no wizard, he's a mathematician. Cute soul assassin. The Grim, the Black Dog Sirius version, or the black in his Black Dog form, could have been done and shaded and rendered better, but other than that, the casting, the writing, the directing was actually very well done. The hinting at what's going on later in the story and in the universe was very well done. Subjectively, I gave it an 8 out of 10 because there were things that I did not like that they did, like changing the grounds, changing certain characters for whatever reasons. Other than that, this movie was actually pretty solid. My aunt, who is actually a very huge Harry Potter fan, she looked at the third movie. She's like, by far, this movie is the weakest movie. And she's a huge fan, but she was speaking purely subjective. And she's also comparing and which is the same as me, I'm actually of the same mind. This movie, in my opinion, is the weakest of all of them because of subjective purposes, where they recast Tom, they changed the grounds to Hogwarts, and it just honestly did not make sense. Plus, the radical change of the firebolt being introduced at the end of the movie, but in the middle of the book. There were certain key things that they did change that did work out, but there were also things that they changed that kind of should have been placed where they were in the books. Moviegoer, which is my third wave review that I always do, that movie, or moviegoer, this movie is a 10 out of 10. You go in, it's a pretty good movie. It keeps you engaged. It's very well done. And for those of you who don't know what the moviegoer review is, it is not deconstructing the film in any shape, way, or form. It's basing it strictly on entertainment value. And for me, I went in, it was entertaining to watch. It's a good movie that you can enjoy, and it's very fun to see. It's a movie for kids, yes, some ways, but adults are there to keep the kids from getting too scared. Now, with that, folks, we are at the 2-hour mark, so I am going to give or cut it short here. Well, not short, but I am going to end it here. Thank you to Soul Assassin for plugging channels and Twitters, and I will give the floor to the panel to plug their channels, starting with Lorena.
Sorry, everyone, I was on mute. Again, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on. I'm Lorena Creole on Twitter and Lorena Creole on YouTube. I review Star Wars, Star Trek, most recently Muppets Now, which has been interesting to say the least. You can also catch me tomorrow at 7 p.m. for Rogue Entertainment with my crew. I believe it's supposed to be on author Stephen Walton's channel. On Sunday, you can catch me for my live stream at 8 p.m. for my Welcome to Florida stream, where I talk all things Florida, including Florida man, Florida memes, and a little bit of history about my family. Also on Mondays at 10 p.m., you can catch me on Toxic Femininity over on Midnight's Edge channel. And after that, I will actually be on vacation for about 2 weeks. I will be in Florida, so I will miss you guys, but I will be thinking of all of you when I am at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, especially picking out my wand, as I don't know which one I want quite yet.
Alrighty, Mads.
Hey everyone, Mads Mama Bear here. You can find me at Mads Mama Bear here on YouTube and also on Twitter. I am actually getting back into it. I've got a poem that's actually I'm going to be putting up in the next 24 hours or so. I've got a lot of projects. I'm even working on something big, so do not miss it. Mondays, you can find me on Comic Chat's channel, where we do the Chaotic Countdown. And Thursdays, you can find me on the Queen's Council, along with my lovely co-host, next to me, Lorena Creole, and the other queens. And we have something special planned for this week, so do not miss it.
Alrighty. Thank you. And AFK.
Oh yeah, well, way to tease. That's looking forward to it. It's like, wow, super long plug there, you guys. As in, like, seriously, you guys need to go check them out because they do stuff. Like, whatever, like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm on Twitter and I hang out with people in their streams. So yeah, if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter and I have a YouTube, but they're all connected on Twitter. So there you go. It's been a pleasure. Though, seriously, you guys are awesome, and I'm humbled to be here.
Alrighty. And last but not least, as Soul Assassin would say, the sexy ambassador.
You are so dead.
You have to mean it.
Oh, I meant it.
Exactly.
I absolutely meant it. Deep down, I'm a Death Eater. I'm
Is
not
that why I
ashamed
have
to say
indigestion?
it can kill you. As for me, I am the ambassador. You can find me on my channel, the Ambassadorial Wing.
your-
I cover.
Channel, please.
I am plugging my channel. I am the ambassador. You can find me on my channel, the Ambassadorial Wing. I cover pop culture, both modern and retro. And tomorrow night, with Mads Mama Bear and Moira Kitty, even though she is no longer here, and an awesome panel all around, we're going to be talking about women and why they love action movies, and that'll be at 7:30 Central Time. And to Soul Assassin, I am not a wizard or a mathematician. I'm a wizardician.
He is the much needed math teacher that they never get.
Like I said, I'm the wizardician.
Mathemagician.
That's a good one too.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Anytime, Orange, we're waiting on you. I'm done.
Alrighty. Yeah.
Crucio.
Alrighty. And with that, all right. With that, folks, I am going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for tuning in. Everybody in the chat, you all. But anyway, thank you for everyone who my lovely panel. Number 4, which is Goblet of Fire, where Harry is thrust into the tournament by a mysterious figure. And hopefully everyone will be back for that. If not, they'll be here in spirit. And if you guys catch this on the replay, you all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What was your favorite part of this movie, of the stream even? Let me know all of that stuff. Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Review and Panel. I'll catch you all on the next one. And until then, stay humble.